meron tayong tinatawag na parang compliance, no? Government compliance. Kasi there's an entity called Department of Labor and Employment na you have to comply with their guidelines when it comes to documenting the employee onboarding.
Hello everyone, welcome to the podcast. Today is going to be exciting because right now we're doing a series on human resource management, and my co-host Dennis Hilario, he will be giving his tips and thoughts on employee onboarding. So yeah, let's get right to it.
Welcome to the Digital Transformation Academy. My name is Dennis Hilario and I'm here to help you in your digital transformation journey. Let the show begin.
Hey, so welcome to the podcast. Dennis Hilario here. So our topic for this episode is all about employee onboarding. So basically, employee onboarding is something that we do in human resource department every time we hire an employee. How about you, Fiona? What is your how do you foresee yourself when it comes to, for example, you apply for a job and then you're about to get on board in the company. So what's your expectation? How do you envision it?
I guess my expectation is kind of to really be able to feel the environment that I'm going to be working in. So I expect my boss or whoever will guide me to introduce me to the kind of culture that the company has. That's it. I mean, that's what I'm thinking about right now.
Oh yeah, so I think that's basically the generic expectation that every fresh graduate, for example, is expecting. Yeah, so the basic definition of employee onboarding, it refers to the process of being able to integrate the new employee formally into your organization. So as an employer, this involves introducing the company to the team, to, like you said, yung culture, the different departments that you're going to be working with, and overall basically welcoming them to the company. So with the gap existing between the candidates and the full employee experience, so onboarding takes place, basically to close the gap. Okay, so this way, this will transition. Yung transition will be quick and but with given care, will have long time value for the organization. Actually, some studies show that yung mga new hires, yung productivity level of the new hires will come in a quicker way when there's an efficient and smooth onboarding process. Some of it, of course, yung training, yung providing them the company handbook or policies. So basically 90%, based on a study, 90% of the employees decide whether to stay with the company in the first 6 months. If maganda yung onboarding experience niya. So I think many companies kasi they tend to parang not really invest in the process of onboarding.
Yeah, what's something that can go wrong if onboarding is not prioritized?
Well, like pretty much if the expectations of the new hire is not met. For example, if we introduce them to the team and then they found out that the culture is not aligned with their values, so most likely they're gonna get discouraged to work with the organization. But it varies. It depends on the person. It depends on the objective of the person. Some, particularly yung mga fresh graduates, their initial objective is just an experience. So as they mature, they get smarter when it comes to choosing the right company for them. So that's why during recruitment, dun pa lang, as an employer, you have to align yourself with your values and the candidate's values. So kung hindi siya aligned, then that's the decision factor kung you're gonna hire the person or not. It's very critical. It's not sometimes kasi when you interview people, you really don't see exactly how he or she is. You're just gonna know them pag you're working with them already. So
Yeah.
pretty much I think even some experienced executives say na you just hire fast, but if during the tenure of the person, as early as nakita niya na, nakita ng company na it's not aligned, you can actually, you have to decide early if you're gonna let the person go right away. No? But again, like I said kanina, the onboarding process is really important, kasi that motivates the person to work with the company. So imagine if you are tasked or na on board ka and then there's no full orientation given.
Yeah.
Diba? Parang nakaka-discourage mag-work. You get demotivated kasi you don't know how the company works, the culture and whatnot.
Yeah. And is it also like just to make the employee feel welcome?
Oh yeah, of course. So it's like going to school, the first day of school, diba? Especially
Orientation all day.
yeah, especially if you're new to the school. So
Yeah.
it's really important there's an orientation
Yeah.
and all. So again, I think the value that the takeaway here in this conversation is that as an employer, this is a very important step in in managing your employees,
Yeah.
kasi ito yung parang first touch base ng employee to the company.
Yeah.
And of course, you would want the employee to feel welcome dun sa bahay mo, which is your organization or your company.
Okay.
But pretty much, meron tayong tinatawag na parang compliance, government compliance. Kasi there's an entity called Department of Labor and Employment na you have to comply with their guidelines when it comes to documenting the employee onboarding. So part of this episode is I'm gonna be discussing that to you. So basically, I have here some documents that I'll be discussing one by one very briefly. What are those? Again, this will be a guideline, especially if you're a startup company or a small business. It's important to comply with this kasi later on, some companies kasi they get audited by Department of Labor and Employment or
So this is like required to do.
Exactly. So this is required. So every time you onboard an employee, you have to do this kind of documentation to protect yourself in the future and protect the
Okay.
employee in the future. So number one is when you decide to hire an employee, of course the first step is to give them a job offer letter. So the job offer letter is like the document that says that you are hiring them, and these are the details of the employment. Basically the salary, what is the position, what is the job description, what benefits can you get if you get the job offer. So the employee should be signing this together with the HR representative of the company. So again, this is just a documentation that the employee has accepted the job offer. So after that, there's a document, obviously the employment contract. Okay, so the employment contract is basically similar to job offer, but with more details about the job.
Specific. Yeah.
What is the appointment about? Again, what is the compensation? What is the regularization policy? Kasi normally when you hire an employee, there's what you call a probationary period. So meaning during the probationary period, mostly it's just about 6 months. I think by law it's 6 months. Only up to 6 months that you assign the employee or hire the employee as a probationary. So if it's he or she is a probationary, there should be a proper evaluation process to say if you're going to regularize them.
Yeah.
Kasi once you regularize an employee, then you'll have more benefits, and more, for example, leave credits,
I
like
see.
vacation leaves, sick leave, and whatnot. Ano. Again, going back to the contract, some, of course, the non-competition policies, confidentiality clauses are all there during the employment. Ano. Some termination clause, what will be the grounds for termination, there will be a non-disclosure clause, and of course the period of the contract. So again, that's the second document that you should be preparing when you onboard an employee. Okay, so another document is of course, the employee personal information. That's what, kasi there's a document called 201 file. Ano?
What's that?
A 201 file is basically the employee information sheet. The details of the employee, like the addresses,
Yeah.
the family, like the father and mother's name, the birth date, some emergency contact information, some dependents if the person has children, and
Yeah.
pretty much all of the information about the employee. So this 201 file is maintained during the tenure of the employee. So all the documents that has been signed should be in
Yeah.
that folder. No? The movement, for example, if you promote the employee, there's another document that you are promoting them, or all the
Okay.
performance evaluation forms that you have discussed with the employee should be under that 201 file. And later on, what do you call this? That will be the full documentation of what has transpired during the employment of that employee. So it's important to
Okay.
maintain that. And then we also provide an employee requirements checklist. Kasi when you onboard the employee, there are some employee requirements like birth certificate, marriage
Yeah.
certificate if the person is married, like NBI clearance. So you have to be assured that there's no criminal record of that employee.
Yeah.
So we also ask for a copy of the diploma and the TOR. TOR, basically the grades of the employee. Some SSS form, kasi there are government mandated benefits kasi when you employ a person. So those are the SSS or Social Security System, ID, you have the PhilHealth or the Pag-ibig or HDMF. So those kasi all of those, they have these government entities, they provide an ID. It's a number, that is tagged in the person. So if the person has no SSS numbers, PhilHealth and HDMF, then the employer should be the one to file for that.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So of course the BIR or the what you call tax identification number or TIN should also be provided. Kasi later on when you provide salaries to these employees, you also provide what do you call this? Parang contributions to these entities.
Yeah.
For example, a very quick example is if your salary is 10,000 pesos. So there's a table that later on we're gonna be discussing this in more detail sa future episodes. For example, if the SSS, again 10,000 peso salary per month, then a portion of it should be contributed to SSS.
Yeah.
For example, 250 pesos. And another 250 pesos is contributed by the employer. And later on, as you provide contributions to SSS, PhilHealth, and Pag-ibig, if you have claims, for example, you get hospitalized, then you can use those IDs para you can claim the benefits from these government entities. So instead of paying 100% of the hospital bill, since you have this benefit, then you can claim from PhilHealth and you get discounts in this hospital bills. No? Then if you have previous employment, you're asked to provide certificate of employment certifying that you really have been employed from these employers, no? And then of course the ID picture is also important. So next document is of course the one I mentioned earlier, the employee handbook. So the employee handbooks pretty much the policies of the companies. Employee handbook, there's like the incentives na meron that the company provides, some punishments or pag may mga violations, code of conduct, parang code of conduct. There's a details of if you, for example, are always late or absent. Anyway, so last but not the least, kasi when you onboard an employee, you assign, for example, a computer.
Yeah.
You also assign, for example, kunyari sa sales ka, you also assign cell phones. Yung other employees naman, like yung mga executives, they also assign a vehicle. So you have to have this asset accountability assignment form that details the description of the item that the items that were assigned to you. What are the serial numbers? Ano yung condition niya? Is it fully working or what? That's why the reason why it's called accountability is that kasi you'll get accountable if you lose it or if you break it, and basically pag may nangyari din sa asset or the item, you'll be the one accountable. Some companies they deduct it from the salaries or there are specific policies na ginagawa pag may nangyari doon sa item. So it's really important naman sa employee to protect and take care of the item.
Yeah.
Ayun, so those are the forms. Yeah, you know, this varies kasi depending on the size of the organization or depending on the position. So of course, yung mga job description, meron tinatawag na process flow or work instructions na binibigay sa employee. Ay hindi ko rin na-mention pala kanina is about the training. So some companies, they provide a dedicated training sessions before they assign specific tasks. Parang nagkakaroon sila ng boot camp. Again, depending on the size of the company. But for small businesses, they just do it like on the job training. So while you are assigned the task, tinitrain ka kung how you do the task. So some employees, they are motivated if you provide them full training, but some are independent and can do self-studies. So again, it depends on the culture and the values of the company. Yeah, so pretty much that's the the basics of employee onboarding. If you have any questions for me, Fiona?
Questions. What's your onboarding process?
Right now,
In your company?
yeah, right now, before the unfortunate pandemic, the one I just discussed now is pretty much how we do it. We have a basic employee introduction. You provide a presentation to them of how the company works, what is the mission, vision of the company. We introduce them, we provide them basic training on our policies and our products and all of those things. So the one I discussed now. But at this time right now we are 100% work from home.
Yeah.
So the employee onboarding process is very
It's like
challenging.
Online?
Yeah, challenging. Some our HR personnel, her name is Joy. She does the orientation online through Google Meet or Zoom meeting. Then he or she are introduced to the company via our group chats. You use StartSuite in doing it, and then we have like this online meetings pag may mga when we start when we start assigning tasks to them. Kasi normally, for example, in our case, we have programmers, di ba?
Yeah.
Bulk of our hiring for employees are programmers. So we introduce them to the team leader who will guide them and supervise them in doing their tasks. No? So that supervisor naman is in charge of explaining the technical details of how to
Yeah.
do the tasks, supported by our HR personnel. Yun.
Cool. That's good. But yeah, that's all my questions.
Alright, so again, thank you so much for listening to this podcast.
Thank you.
And this podcast is brought to you by our own Snap Payroll and HR system or software. It's an online system, the only payroll and HR system you'll need, especially in the Philippine market. Kasi this product is really designed for small businesses. It's an online software where you can keep the one I mentioned, with the 201 file of the employees.
Yeah.
The employees can log in, they can request for mga leave, they can download their payslip directly from the software, and then our timekeeping and payroll team just do the timekeeping and payroll process using this system. No? So if you can check out the links below if you want to learn more about the details of the product. In our next episode, we're gonna be discussing the basics of timekeeping and payroll, particularly timekeeping terms like overtime, what is undertime, what is tardiness, what is absences, and then the payroll, what's the de minimis benefits, what are deductions, what are allowances, and the net pay and whatnot. So if you guys is new here, you can consider subscribing to this podcast in whatever platform you are consuming this, or you can smash the like button so you can help us in promoting this podcast. Again, we are here to give our best thoughts and tips about digital transformation, productivity, and innovation. So again, in this series, we are discussing or talking all about human resource management, timekeeping, and payroll. So yeah, I'm really excited to do this again next week. Thank you so much.
week.
Yeah, thank you so much for listening. The Extra Life in Business. Have a great day.